First up, you should introduce yourself and this beautiful book.
Wait, I'll just leave it on the shelf.
I'm so jealous of all your different editions. Luckily I have a friend who lives in America who is going to send me the American one as well.
Amazing. I can't get over, I guess I wasn't really across the kind of that collector's market for books, so I didn't know that there were all these subscription boxes and things before these, so it's been a very nice surprise.
So, and like both like the UK edition and the kind of other editions are so pretty. Like,
so pretty. So lucky.
The end papers, come on, look at them.
By Lydia Blagden. What a genius. All right, so I guess I'll introduce the book. It's called Only a Monster. It's my first novel, and it's a YA fantasy about a monster girl whose summer is ruined when the cute guy at work turns out to be a monster slayer. It's got like time travel in it. It's got kind of a bit of enemies to lovers, star-crossed enemy soulmates. It's got this kind of Captain America like heroic antagonist. It's got a cute dog. I feel like I've been saying it's a bit like Doctor Who meets Shadowhunters.
That is such a good, yeah, definitely, that works so well. So now it's been out in the world for a little bit. How does it feel to finally like see it in people's hands?
It feels amazing. It came out here in Australia exactly 1 month ago today. And I felt really lucky that it came out so much earlier, about 3 weeks earlier at home, because it was just a really nice experience to be able to visit some bookshops. I got lots of messages from friends and family. So it almost felt like a really gentle easing into the launch period. It feels, I don't know, it feels incredible, especially seeing people taking photos of the book, holding it in their hands. I think I'm so used to it being just something that is just in my head for so many years. So it's kind of amazing to hear people even saying, you know, Joan, Aaron, Nick. I'm like, well, people know who my characters are.
And they're all incredible. If you were to describe it in just 4 words, what would those 4 words be?
I would say enemy soulmates, and I would say time-travel adventure.
Yeah, they're good ones to go for. So I guess the main question, and the one that I know I really want to know, is what kind of inspired you to write this book? Because it's incredible. For those of you that don't know, I was lucky enough to read a digital proof last year, and it made it into my top like 5, very close to the like, for a book that wasn't even out, is incredible. So I'd love to know kind of like where this story came from and like what inspired you to create such a good book.
Oh, thank you. So it's about, or at least the premise is that there's a monster girl who kind of has to fight this human hero. And for me, the idea for the premise came from all the way back when I was growing up, kind of really loving like big blockbuster films and TV shows. But they were the kinds of ones where like the good guys and bad guys really clearly demarcated. But I would notice, I guess, as I got older that, I don't know, the heroes just very rarely looked like me. But sometimes the bad guys would look like me. So I don't know, I feel like I've got this line in the book about how in movies the camera follows the hero after the bad guys have been killed. But I would notice these people lying on the ground after the hero like beaten them and killed them, just because I guess those were the only characters often on screen that had looked like me. So it kind of gave me this idea of wouldn't it be interesting to write about one of those heroes from those movies, like a really classic, upright, you know, morally black and white hero, but that person is fighting against you rather than for you. So that was, I guess, the seed of inspiration for the book.
Oh, and that is my dog.
I love it.
So the exploration kind of of the whole heroes versus monsters creates some really realistic characters in a way, because you've got that play, especially with the monsters, on what actually makes a monster and how kind of realistic it is to be all kind of totally evil. Was the main reason for this obviously kind of exploring what you said previously, and how did you find writing characters like that on the surface seem quite evil or good but actually have a little bit more going on?
Yeah, it's true. There's not really, I feel like there's not many characters that are super demonized in the book. They're a little bit grey, all of them. Part of the reason I wanted to write it was to, I guess I like it when you can empathize with various sides in a book. Even though you might be on one side, you can kind of still understand the perspectives. And I kind of liked the idea of writing from the point of view of I guess like a half monster girl, but her family are monsters and she really loves them. And it's almost the reader's empathy towards the monsters that makes it feel morally grey, because actually they're pretty evil. They steal human time, and then they use that to travel in time. So, you know, they're shortening humans' lives, not for any reason, just for fun. And so they are objectively not good, but I think it feels morally grey because the story is told from Joan's point of view. She loves her family, hopefully the reader can feel the stakes of what might happen if anything happened to them as a result of the hero.
Definitely. Like, I love the monsters. Like, at the back of my brain, I know, especially as a human whose time they may use up, that like, no, that's evil and that's bad, but I can't help but like root for them and be like obsessed with them and just be like, you're great and I love you. Like, I definitely empathize with them so well. So you've managed to like hit that really well. With that in mind, who was your kind of favorite character to write?
I feel like people often say side characters, and I think it's true for me. I found Ruth really fun to write. Every time she was in a scene, she would kind of shake things up. She would say some fun dialogue, and then everyone else would feel a bit provoked to say something in reply. So she was just kind of a fun character to have in any scene. And she was a bit unpredictable as well. She might say something that even I was like, oh, that's what I guess you said that.
When you're writing characters, do you find that sometimes they kind of almost tell you what they're going to do?
Yeah, my background is just short stories, so I'd never written a novel before, and I'd never been with a character before long enough for them to be telling me what to do. But I definitely found, I think it was maybe like 20,000 words in, I was already starting to hit this point where I had plotted out the book, but I would find these characters, I was like, I don't think these characters would do this. So I think they're going to let this plot just happen. So yeah, I think now that I've written a novel and kind of been with characters for a longer time, I would say yes, sometimes they slightly just do what they want to do, say what they want to say.
I love that, because I assume that's quite like an amazing feeling that you've kind of got to almost the heart of a character so well, but then ultimately like frustrating as well, because it's like, but I really wanted it to go this way.
In a way, it's like sometimes if you find the characters won't say or do something, and kind of when you're thinking about a solution around it, like what would make them do this, what would make them say this, kind of that becomes part of the more interesting parts of the novel sometimes. So it's funny how that works.
It all worked out in the end. So how did you find kind of, was that the main difference between writing like short stories and writing a novel, the kind of sitting with the characters that little bit longer than you would usually?
Yeah, I think so. I think I had to learn everything I thought I was like, oh, I can write a short story. I'm sure I could write a novel. But then I started writing it and I was just Googling everything. I was like, how do you do a structure? How do you do a plot? What is a scene actually? How long is a chapter? So I feel like the whole thing, how do you make up a character? Everything was something to learn. So yeah, I would say everything everything was something to learn still, except perhaps I feel like in short stories you can do kind of emotional moments, so I guess I knew how to do an emotional moment and had to learn almost everything else.
And now that you've written your first novel, do you prefer writing novels or do you prefer writing short stories?
I feel like now that I've had a taste for novels, although I really enjoy reading and writing short stories, but there's something really I don't know, really amazing about creating that longer form, I guess, story and then sharing it with other people, because they kind of stay in this world just a lot longer than they would for a short story. So I can definitely notice this, like the level of engagement is so much more. People like are really like, you know, feeling for the characters, I think, in ways that it's really much harder to do in a short story. So I would say, even though I find it much harder to write a novel, I might stay here for a little longer, a little longer.
Please. Pretty please. Yeah, like I think your book is one of those that like shows how amazing novels can be, and that they can be so transportative that you kind of you live with the characters and you become obsessed with the world. Like it's one of those, I'll fully admit I finished it and I kind of just sat there for a while and like I didn't move at all because my brain was like still my brain was still
I'm
in the
so
book.
happy because I love that feeling myself. So I'm just
Yeah,
really, that really makes me happy.
great. And then I had that moment where I was like, oh no, now I have to wait.
When I went on submission with it, I was like, maybe I'll never write in this universe again. Maybe this is it. So I was slightly having that feeling too when I finished the book and it was on submission. I was like, I guess I didn't even know if I was going to have to wait or not wait. I wasn't sure if there was going to be any more. So I guess I also felt that slight hangover at the end of it.
So this is quite a fun question, I hope, and that is, if you could bring any one of your characters to life, who would it be and why?
Oh my gosh, I feel like I can't possibly say a monster. That would be really bad, wouldn't it? Just let them roam free, stealing life from tourists. Who would I bring to life? I'm going to say a nice character. I'm going to say Joan's dad.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good answer. I'd be slightly tempted to bring a monster, even though I know it would be
I would be
wrong.
tempted, but then I think I would feel really bad. Maybe if they were like somehow contained, like they
Yeah.
really promised.
Well, I mean, if we're bringing them to life, then we can like somehow also magically contain their powers. We'll go with that. So I guess I always wonder this question when it comes to writers, and particular YA ones, obviously. Why is it that you chose to write for kind of like a YA audience? Was it like a conscious decision before you even put pen to paper, or is it just that that's where the story led you?
It was definitely a conscious decision. I was really thinking about things like, you know, I really wished I'd had this kind of rep when I was growing up. So I thought, you know, I think it would be really nice to kind of just add another story to that space with just add even a little bit more rep. So it was definitely a conscious decision. And I felt like the time that I would have needed it the most was when I was, I guess, younger, like a kid or a teenager. So, you know, it's definitely on purpose. And aside from that, I feel like young adult is a really fun age category to write. To write. It's just like the characters are really still learning about themselves. they don't even know how they're going to change during the book. They don't know what resources they have inside them, what kind of resilience they have. So I find that really interesting as well, to be kind of learning along with the character who they are, I guess, deep down, at the same time that they're facing all these really hard challenges. I think for adults, or at least adult characters, they can just be a little bit more jaded. You know, they've had this experience before. In YA, they're like having their first love, first grief, and it just feels a lot more raw and kind of high emotion, which I also really enjoy writing. So yeah, I think I like the characters themselves. They're just a little bit more raw in their emotions, and a little bit more in development, if that makes sense.
Definitely. I think that's one of the main reasons I love reading YA so much. It's just the fact that the characters are so raw and you follow them, and they have, like, you can't pick any YA book up and the characters not have a journey, because it's that age you're going to have some kind of journey and development, and you don't always get that in books for adults, because, as you say,
Completely.
often been through whatever it is, they've been through it before and they're more jaded by life. But I think YA is just a magical kind of
Sort of
time
age, yeah.
to read about,
Yeah,
and it's relatable. Like,
I agree. I agree.
everybody has been or is a teenager, like, and I think
Completely.
that relatability is incredible, and it brings up things that maybe you haven't thought about in a while,
True.
but are really interesting to think about now that you've kind of been through it and you're a little bit older.
Luckily, I've never had a
Yeah,
boyfriend turn out to be a monster slayer.
yeah, but like, we've all
I know
had
exactly what you mean. I
feelings
know, it's sort
and
of
like
almost that, yeah, that
found
metaphor
out
of
that
growing.
things weren't quite as they were seen. Maybe not like monsters who use humans to time travel for fun, but you know, we've all had moments.
Very true.
So, if time travel was possible, where would you go? Is there a certain time and place that you'd go and you know the immediate answer to, or would you just kind of travel around and see?
I would go forward, because I really like surprises. So I feel like I kind of know what goes on in history, more or less. So yeah, I would go forward. I would check out what was going to happen, see all the spoilers. Probably I go, every time I go anywhere, I go to the supermarket, because I just love, like, I love all the local snacks and stuff. So I would also definitely go to a supermarket in the future and try out all their new snacks.
Yeah, I always love going, like, when I go anywhere, just seeing what like the local food is, because I love snacks anyway. So like any excuse to find new ones is great. But like, I feel like you learn so much about a place by like the different snacks that they have. So I really like that answer. So I've only got a couple more questions. Um, One of them is, what kind of research went into writing Only a Monster? Was it all kind of more of the kind of how to write a novel bit, or did you do some kind of like research? Because obviously it's set in London.
Yes, I did a lot of research. There was a lot of time where I was just on Google Street View, just going, just like I was walking through London. And then every now and then I'd hit one of those Google Street View dead ends and I couldn't see what was beyond. It's like, what is there? There's just a gap there. I don't know what is there. But I was lucky enough to actually get to go to London just before the pandemic. So it was, I think it was only maybe only a few months before the pandemic, in 2019, and I did lots of experiential research. Like, I went to the maze at Hampton Court Palace, and I did that when Aaron and Joan flee from Nick. They go up through Kensington into Kensington Gardens. So I didn't run, but I did the walk up through there. And then I was like, I'll jump the fence. It was like daytime, so everything was still open, but I was like, I'll jump the fence just so I've got those experiential details. And I was like, okay, I'm going to find a little spot to jump the fence. And I found this like little laneway. It was like into Kensington Gardens. And I was like, no one will see me. I'll just jump this fence. And then I think I got maybe 5 meters away, and I just saw this man behind the fence with the biggest gun I've ever seen in my life. I don't really see guns very often, but he was holding this gun in 2 hands. I don't know. It was like, to me, it looked like a machine gun. And then I saw on the fence, it said Israeli embassy. And I realized I'd really just been just about to break into the Israeli embassy. And I feel like that would be really hard to explain as well. I'd be like, I'm just pretending to be this monster character.
It's research the book I'm writing, honest. Like, I didn't realise.
I didn't know.
I love that. Oh, I love the dedication, and then I love that, like, you just happened across like one place that, like, if you did
I thought it would be perfect. It was just so quiet.
Oh dear, I was just looking for a quiet place where I could jump the
I didn't end up jumping the fence. I was too stressed out after the close encounter with the giant gun. So I was like, I think I can imagine what it would be like to jump a fence.
I mean, it gave you still had an experience, albeit a very big shock.
I didn't know what he thought, just somebody coming right up to the fence and then backing up really fast.
I love that, because that's great. So I guess my final question would be, how much can you tell me about what you're working on right now, and how long do we have to wait for something else from you?
So I'm working on the sequel at the moment. It's in edits. I don't have a date yet. I feel like even if I had a date, I'll be worried about saying it yet, because I know that people are having their dates pushed because of the supply chain. Yeah. So hopefully everything will come out on schedule. And it's just been, I don't know, it's been really fun to be back in this world again. So really enjoying that. And then I'll be on book 3 after that. And I'm hoping, because I was mostly in lockdown for book 2, I'm hoping for book 3 I might be able to come back to London and do a little bit more research, but a little bit more cautious research, maybe.
Maybe don't jump any.
No, I won't be jumping any fences into private property.
Well, I, for one, cannot wait for book 2, because this is just...
Thank you.
So I guess before we go, do you want to let everyone kind of know where they can find you online?
Yes, wait, I just I feel like I should know this off the top of my head, but I don't. Okay, it's Vanessa.len sorry, I'll say it again. It's Vanessa.len @_ oh my God, where's my Instagram? It's Vanessa.len _writes on Instagram, and where am I on Twitter? Vanessa _writes on Twitter. I don't know why I don't know these off the top of my head. I have to look them up every time.
I never remember them. Not in a situation like this. If like just somebody asked me randomly, I'd be like, oh yes, it's blah, 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 blah.
I think I know straight away, yeah.
But yeah, in like a interview situation, my brain just goes
a little bit blank.
Like, I always think that everyone I interview does an amazing job, because if I ever did anything and anyone asked me about it, my brain would just like, ooh.
I think that would happen, like a complete blank, but luckily it hasn't happened.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me and writing this. I absolutely adore it. It's my precious.
Super fun. And thank you for all the support for the book as well. You know, for a debut, it's just really, it means a lot when people like read the book early and then boost it a bit. It just means a lot.
Well, it's easy to do when the book is this good.